I've been speaking for a really long time, been coaching for a really long time too. And when I was 26 and I was speaking on stage and I was like, and I was in the States, and I felt like, well, I needed to be successful. What does successful mean? It's financial. So in order for me to be successful, I had to be financially. So I pushed that and I did really well. I know how to make tons of money. It's fine. Yeah. But I was like really realizing that I was on stage and I felt complete imposter syndrome. And I felt like here I was telling people how to live their best life and telling people how look around you and do you have love around you? And I didn't. I was living in LA. I was pushing the one speech after the next, and I was going to be the fucking coolest and da-da-da and all this stuff. And I was just like, I'm doing this again to get other people to validate me again. And I know better. I've done the work, like, come on, coach. But I really realized that. And then that night I went, for dinner with a fellow coach and a mentor. And I was like, I'm done. I'm like, I want people to know the real me, because I don't want to have a life where I feel like I'm not living authentically who I am. Yeah. And so it's a choice. You can keep going like this, but at one point you're like, well, wait a second. What if I actually showed the different sides of me? What if I was vulnerable? What if I asked for help? What if I showed a softer side? What if I, really went in and told people that I'm not perfect and I struggle and what about that? And to me, those are the relationships that are the most meaningful. And that's the life and the love and the relationships that I want to hang out with and have in my life.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode of the Thoughts on Purpose podcast. We have got a very, very special guest today. And I have been following this amazing lady's work for many years. And there's so much I admire about the amazing Sonia Zarbatany that I probably don't have long enough in this podcast to just share everything that I really just have learned from her, even though we haven't officially had a conversation. Just watching on the sidelines, hearing podcasts of you, seeing your work, seeing you consistently online. I feel like I know you already. And so I'm so excited that we're finally here in person. Ladies and gentlemen, Sonia Zarbatany, thank you for being here.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I'm going to read your bio because, as I was saying, I can't do anything else justice. Like this, the bio really doesn't do you justice either, but it's closer than anything I could do. So I'm going to start with this. So, ladies and gentlemen, tune in. Sonia Zarbatany is known to fans and friends as Coach Sonia. She is an international speaker, life coach, business coach, and corporate consultant based out of Montreal in Canada. Everything she has created, from her Coach Sonia events, retreats, and online programs to her Le Tribe event space, a media agency, Le Tribe Media, exists so she can impact as many people as possible. I love that mission. Sonia coaches and speaks on global stages to empower, inspire, and impact others to live in the now and execute the steps needed to create a brighter future for both their personal and professional lives. She gives tangible steps and next steps to start, pivot, and scale their business and balance their home life as well. An entrepreneur and business owner, she has built and scaled her own business and her clients' businesses to well over 7 figures. She coaches her clients to achieve results in their own lives that they had only once imagined as possible. Very, very powerful. And there's more. Keeps going. This is powerful stuff. In 2020, in response to the worldwide pandemic, she successfully pivoted her business to virtually based and has spoken on virtual stages to more than 100,000 people in the last year alone. A staple of this virtual training has been her Mastery series, a 4-part training program that has helped thousands of people to master their lives in the 4 categories of life, mindset, body, relationships, and business. And I love that about you, Sonia. You're so diverse, like you've got such a wide range of skills. And when she's not helping others through her business, she enjoys being a powerful mum. Sonia is a mum of 2 and a stepmom of 3. And an important part of her life is sharing how she balances work and mum life with her social media community. So, Sonia, so grateful to be here with you. I'm sure everyone listening to this can already see just a little bit of the reason why I would want to chat to you. There's just so much in that. I'm excited to unpack it. Sonia, I want to begin with a question that I ask many of my guests, some of them I don't really feel it's necessary, but some of them I'm like, I'd just love to know this answer from this individual. And for you, Sonia, I would love to find out if you were to walk into a park right now and you were to see a 7-year-old version of you sitting on a seat, and she sees you, you see her, and you know who you are. What would inspire that 7-year-old version of you the most about the woman you are today?
That I just went for it. Like I really went for it. Like I can go back to the 7-year-old version, and to me, it's the 9-year-old version, which is my daughter. And I can literally say, like, just go all out without stopping yourself in absolutely any way. And you're going to be good. Like, not only are you going to be good for you, but you're just going to actually make a difference for other people in their world too. Yeah.
That's powerful. I love that. It's solid. And I love that. And that's what you've done. You've embodied that fully. I totally get that. So I'm curious, what's a conversation? Because I like these conversations to really not be the kind of average podcast conversations. I like to go a little deeper. So I'm curious, what's a conversation that you would love to have more with more people, but maybe you don't have the opportunity to have, or you just, maybe you just don't have it as much as you'd love to? What would that conversation be?
It's interesting because I feel like even in interviews and in podcasts, like I get asked to be on people's podcasts so much, and I feel like I always get the same 4 questions. It's like, oh, how do you work-life balance? And the beauty of it is, for me, I'm always thinking about the listener, and I'm always thinking about the audience, and I'm always thinking about, not about my story, but like how we can together, you and I, impact your listeners so that they can leave this podcast with something going, wow, I can actually use this in my life today. Yes. I can actually take this piece and really transform my life. So for me, it's those conversations that I want to have. And I'm a person where anywhere you follow me, obviously, if you're following me on Instagram, you're going to see, like, I just posted a video literally 10 minutes ago about my husband's office burning down, 2 weeks before COVID hit. Like, I'm all about really, really diving into a true, authentic platform and showing up and saying, yes, through resilience you can have, through the struggle, there is lessons and there is resilience and there is growth. And I really love these real authentic conversations of not just showing this like perfectly curated life of like, look how great, 6, 7, 8, 10 figures, so ridiculous, so uninspiring to me, but instead, like, what human are you?
I love that. So what would that conversation be? What's in your heart? Like in this moment, we've navigated a lot over the past few years, and I'm guessing, like, obviously the work you do, you're interacting with people every single day.
Yeah.
And I'm sure because you're a powerful coach, like you do the transformation work, the mindset work, as well as the business coaching, you combine all of these. What are you seeing that, would benefit? Like, what do people need to hear now?
They need to, I'm so dialed into this. Like, the thing is that the beauty of being so consistent and really focusing on growing your community and being of service is I'm dialed in. Like, I feel it. I know exactly what people are needing right now, and people need experiences. People need people. They've been closed for so long. They've been, and they really need help on, like, well, what is this new definition of my ideal life? Or, they started working from home. Do you love it or not? They started new relationships. They ended old relationships. They're thinking like, I need to go back to this normal, but what's the new normal? I don't want to go back to what it was. So how do I create that? So for me, even my business, like in the next, I don't know, month, I think I'm speaking in front of over 10,000 people. Like, people want to go and experience you, and they want to see you in real life. So that's what I'm really, really, really into. I'm a speaker. Like, I'm your coach, but I'm a speaker. So I want to activate my community so that they can come and not only experience me and the work and the new keynote that I have, which is really taking off your mask, but experiencing each other and being around a community that is actually there to support them and to help them grow, and that there are people out there that are doing the work and to put them together. Like, I love that part. Yes,
that's so powerful. I resonate with that so much. And it's an interesting time we've navigated as well. Like I was working with a lot of clients prior to the pandemic, and then after it, or actually rather during it, the amount of shifts that happened for people because you're right, everything changed. Everything changed. And there's a lot of people right now and they're wondering, like, what's life moving forward? How do I do this thing? How do I play this game? So I love that. I love that mission, and that human connection right now is just so vital. So I love what you're doing. It's so powerful. You're speaking to 10,000 people in the next month. That's huge. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's because I have so many different speaking opportunities and worldwide too, which is wonderful. And I love that. For me, it really is about it. Socials have been great. Like you're able to reach hundreds of thousands of people a week. It's crazy. It's really wonderful. However, activating people in real life, and for them to actually feel your energy in real life, and not just energy, but really like feel, they want to see you. They want to play with you. They want to activate with you. They want to feel what it feels to really have access to this mindset that we speak of. And then from a place of, hey, wait a second, you can actually just authentically be yourself. And that's enough. Like, what? What do you mean? Like, what you think that people are judging you the most is actually your superpower. Wait, what? Or you can actually create community that just wants you. Like that you could just show up and share your story, and from that place you can create community. From that place you can then convert your audience. You can bring them into experiences with you. Like there's just, that's what it really excites me.
Yes. I love that. I love that little phrase that little nugget of gold you just happened to drop in there as well. Like the thing that you think people are judging you for the most is actually, okay, how did you word that? I was trying to pick it up, but I didn't quite remember. But essentially that was the gist of it. You said the thing that you think people are judging you for the most is actually your goals.
That's your superpower.
It's your superpower.
That's your superpower.
Yeah.
Because if you can lean in and realize that what you feel people are judging you for, and you shift it into actually that's actually your power. Yeah. People judge me all the time. Oh my gosh, she's got so much energy, but hi, that's been working out for me. Yeah. So for you in the moment of not being compared to someone else or feeling like you need to be like someone else, but instead go within and truly dive into your true alignment and go from this space.
Yes.
From this space I can create, from this space of taking off this mask that I'm trying to people please and I'm trying to be good enough for the world. Forget that. From that place, what you are actually being judged on, just really translate to that's your superpower. And people love that. People will follow that, because if you lead the way in being completely authentically yourself, imagine how inspiring that is for other people to say, hey, maybe I could be a little bit more like myself.
Yes. Yeah. So inspiring. That's amazing. I love that. Beautiful. Very, very powerful. If people take nothing else from this podcast, just that alone, there's so much in that. All right. But we're only just getting started. So I love this conversation.
We're only getting warmed up.
Yeah, that's it. Sonia, in your opinion, is there a particular belief that you see that holds people back more than anything else?
Well, I think, my community, I speak a lot to women, right? I have a big women community, but yet it's really interesting because I coach a lot of men. Yeah. So I really coach because I build really big personal brands and I scale business so much. So I go deep there. But when I look at my community, and if I look at women, the number one thing that stops themselves is, what will other people think? It's so interesting for that. And there's this comparison on other people, whereas like my men don't have that. It's not, they're not going to say like, oh, well, whatever, George has this and Paul has that. Like my men are not so much into that. There's other things that are stopping them in a big way, but they'll go more money mindset, or, you know, what they've been told as a child, or, you know, they think that they're going to self-sabotage if they go all out, or they'll actually not be able to be with the right person. Relationships is a big thing that stops them. But for my women, they're so concerned about like, what will people think? And, you know, if we get to really shift that, like, wow, imagine.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Because, and I think that that's also one of the reasons why so many people will actually be drawn to me, because it's so clear how much I could not care less about what other people think. Like zero.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what more people need that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
like none.
Powerful place.
I could not care less. Yeah.
Good. I respect that so much. And I think people over the past couple of years as well, I've seen a lot of people, they've had to learn to step into that as well, because otherwise they'll be crushed with certain things happening in the world. Like they had to learn to get over what other people thought in order to stand in their power. So I think people have had a taste of it. Certainly many people in my community, I've seen that happen. So yeah, this is really, really powerful stuff. And there's so much truth to what you're saying. I'm curious, Sonia, actually, I had this question, and you're right. You posted that thing on social media, like it was like 15 minutes ago, and I happened to check it.
You saw it? Yes.
I saw it. And I did see that a while ago, but I'd actually forgotten about that because I was following you even when that happened.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, what is a challenge that you have faced that most people don't realize? And maybe there's another challenge, but I loved how you showed that about yourself as well. I know how authentic you are, but just, you know, you showed that you were there crying in the car, your husband's, what was it like, in his whole apartment or office building?
His whole office building.
Yeah. Wow.
And we were, and this is crazy because I was launching my tribe 2 weeks later. Like I was in deep construction in this, and then we get a call on like at 11 o'clock at night, and my husband's face completely changes. I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, my building's on fire. I go, what do you mean your building's on fire? And then we take the car, and so in Montreal, there's a big highway.
Yes.
And we saw it from the highway. And I'm like, don't tell me this is the huge flames. Then we get there. There's like 50 firemen in the state. It is so scary. It's so scary. It's so scary. And I was like, why? You know, and I'm so into like, what's the lesson? What's the lesson? And there's no lesson. Like, this is not fun. This is not, you know, and my husband was like, he broke, and my husband's a very strong man, and everything was just, his people were outside and just like crying, going, and even all his servers burnt down too. Like it was to the ground. And the only thing that they got was what I showed in my reel, which is that drawer. You know, the drawer, and one little piece of his computer that he rebuilt the company with that.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah. And people, so to your question, it's like, you know, people have such a perception that it's like, oh, you know, Sonia, go, fun, happy. Yes. But do you know how much struggle there is? Do you know how much pain there is? Do you know how much I'm misunderstood or not understood whatsoever, or you know, and I've learned to really be okay with that, honestly.
How have you learned? Like, what's the reframe for you, Sonia? So, and thank you for sharing about your story, by the way, and being so real with that. Like, it was just beautiful. It was such a coincidence. I was literally typing up the question about a challenge, and then you post. I was like, damn, that's so cool. Like, that's like, people can go check out your social media and see it now. I love that. But what's for you? How do you hold that frame of you know, you said you don't really care what other people think, and I know you care, but you don't care as in like take on their stuff, their projections.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
and
you're
so
right.
How do you do that? Like I think I know because I'm a coach, but for anyone listening to this and they're like, oh, like that sounds all good, but how do you actually do that?
Yeah.
You know, what's the process?
So there's several processes, and it also really depends on, you know, who you're bringing this through and who you're processing. But the way that I like to do things is that I'm a very, very, very big believer of guarding your castle.
Yes.
There's very few people that I let into my inner world.
Mhm.
Very, very, very few. And all those that do the work. All those that do. Because if it's a different conversation. It really is a different conversation, because once we don't have conversations about other people. We don't have conversations about, we have a next level conversation. So I like that conversation. And in that conversation, I feel very heard and understood. And I choose to really handpick the people that I bring around me. And those are the people that I really, really care about, will do everything for. They've been tested highly from me, because I really test.
Yes.
And those are my people. Then the rest is like, I really see that it's just mirroring their own journey. Like what they see and get triggered maybe by me is something within them. And that's the work that they have to do. So I don't want to take it on. If you misjudge this podcast of maybe I'm this or that, and not that, no, I just really, really care. And I'm really, hoping that someone will take great value from this and be inspired from this. Well, that's my intention. That's all I can do. Now, what someone perceives it as, that's on them. And sometimes, people are in their own journey, and I might be too much for you now, but maybe in a month from now, you're going to come back and go, you know what, Sonia, I unfollowed you because your stuff was a lot. But now that I'm in a different position in my life, and I've done a bit of work, I'm ready to come back, and I'm ready to listen to the lessons and go there with you. And I'm like, I'm always, my hands are open. I'm here.
Yes.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yes. I love that. So powerful. And it's a freeing way to live. When you say, this is it. I know for me, this is where I'm coming from. If you see it differently, then that's your shit. It's not on me, I get your intention.
You know what? I've done and I thought it's so interesting. I've been speaking for a really long time, been coaching for a really long time too. And when I was 26 and I was speaking on stage, and I was and I was in the States, and I felt like, well, I needed to be successful. What does successful mean? It's financial. So in order for me to be successful, I had to be financially. So I pushed that, and I did really well. I know how to make tons of money. It's fine. Yeah. But I was really realizing that I was on stage, and I felt complete imposter syndrome. And I felt like here I was telling people how to live their best life, and telling people how look around you and do you have love around you. And I didn't. I was living in LA. I was pushing the one speech after the next, and I was going to be the fucking coolest and and all this stuff. And I was just like, I'm doing this again to get other people to validate me again. And I know better. I've done the work, come on, coach. But I really realized that. And then that night I went, for dinner with a fellow coach and a mentor. And I was like, I'm done. I'm like, I want people to know the real me, because I don't want to have a life where I feel like I'm not living authentically who I am. Yeah. And so it's a choice. You can keep going like this, but at one point you're like, well, wait a second. What if I actually showed the different sides of me? What if I was vulnerable? What if I asked for help? What if I showed a softer side? What if I, really went in and told people that I'm not perfect and I struggle and what about that? And to me, those are the relationships that are the most meaningful. And that's the life and the love and the relationships that I want to hang out with and have in my life. Yes.
I love that. So you're sort of, you're I guess, taking ownership of cultivating the relationship first. Like you're like, I would love this out of a relationship, so I'm going to bring that to the relationship first, as opposed to expect other people to bring it to you, which is really so powerful.
And I do it I did it with you the second we came in, and I'm like, I just told you. And even when you reached out to me, I'm like, I'm in because you have the right values for me. You come from heart, and then I'll show up fully present to you. Yeah. And even when we started this call, I was like, I'm so happy you didn't send me any questions. There's no questions you can't ask me. I'm here to serve. And that becomes a relationship where when you do come to Montreal, or when we do, those are real relationships.
1,000%. I totally agree. And I thank you for your vulnerability and your honesty as well. And that was actually something I learned from Joel as well. Like whenever I'm on podcasts now, I'm like, don't send me questions. I'm not interested. So I'm not sure if it's trickled through you, to Joel and then Joel to me, but it's so freeing. It's so freeing. Like what a cage you put around yourself when you need to know all the time. And the only reason you need to know all the time, in my illusion, is because you're not confident in who you are. You're not certain in who you are. And so you're trying to be someone all the time, which is really hard. And you're scared of not being that person and what life would be like outside that cage. So I admire it so much, Sonia, and it's so powerful. And thank you for being a light for so many other people and saying, hey, this is possible.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Sonia, so I love, obviously, like I said before, that the fact that you're not just, you're not, what do they say, a one-show pony or something like that? I think that's the phrase, where you just do one trick again and again. Like you're so diverse and you got so many skills. I'm curious, again, given everything we've navigated through the past few years, if you were to start, because you're a very, very amazing entrepreneur, if you were to start from scratch right now, go back to the drawing board and just be like nothing. Ground zero. Number one, what business would you start? And number two, how would you focus on building it? Like what platforms would you use? What platforms wouldn't you use?
It's so funny because again, like I'm so aligned with what I do that's exactly what I would do.
You just come back to it.
I would. Yeah. Well, 100%. I mean, because if not, I'd be doing something else. Like if I would tell you, because I don't mind starting at zero, I could start at zero tomorrow. Yeah. Like if I've pivoted so many times, I've left such big businesses of being in the fashion industry and being in, all these amazing businesses. Like I still start up new businesses. But I'm really razor focused into flow. So what I'll do is I see the opportunity, and the reason why I'm successful in the way that I am is there's no stopping me. Like if I'm aligned with something, I will outwork the world, and I'm going to make it and I'm going to be like, what hasn't been done? How's this? Like I get obsessed with it because I love it so much. And I actually love starting from zero. So that's maybe one of the things that I don't fear at all. Like if you told me like, all right, there's no more clients, I'm like, let's go get more. Like I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I don't. So for me, and the beauty is a lot of people ask me this, which is really interesting, because they always go, well, Sonia, as a coach, you should niche yourself, right? And I'm like, the worst thing you could do to me is put me in a box. I don't want to be in a box.
Wow.
I don't like a box.
Wow, so that's awesome.
Yeah. So don't niche me because, and don't make me just do my vision of whatever, because I create in the present. I'm fully in flow in the present, and I will shift so fast and I will go at it. Like it's really interesting how my brain works. It's really, so for me to just do like, oh, what's your 1 year vision? Like, are you serious? Like I can't put that, because I will find opportunities in the present and be in flow. Like if I like you, I'll be like, wait a second, how do you feel about Tunisia? Because now I'm like building a retreat in Tunisia. Or so I wouldn't have seen you in my vision board because we didn't know about each other. But maybe same thing with you. You'll be like, Sonia, come to Australia. There's a 9,000 people event. I'm like, I'm in. So I don't want to, again, just stop myself at this is the vision that I can see, because I can't see it yet. I'm creating it. Yes,
that's so important. Oh my goodness. Because you're so right. Like the vision you set yesterday was the vision you set yesterday. And that was that's all you knew back then. So it's like, and I'm curious what you think about this too, Sonia, because I do see the importance of having like, I'm headed in that direction because it's the best direction I know for now, but also being open, because so I believe it's important to set goals to a degree, but not be caged by them. So how do you balance that as a business? Like, do you have, KPIs and things like that you still like, how do you operate as a business owner, like just to ground this conversation a little bit more?
So I do, but again, I operate in play. Like it's really interesting. Like, I mean, I really, because I've done the whole, whatever, 20, 100 people employed thing. I get it. And it needs its systems and it needs its flow and it needs all of that. But now I think I'm so into flow into play, and I trust my intuition and so much that I will sit with people and I find, I'm like, that's where it goes. Boom. And then I'm going to grow so much because I understand where my industry is going, where my clients are going, where the needs are going, and what people are needing. So it's not that I build programs because I want to do it. It's like I go and speak, and then I'm like, how do you not? Oh, you guys don't know. Like, for example, French. Now I'm like blown up in France. So I'm like, what's their number one need is they don't understand personal branding over Instagram. They don't get it. Like it's not there yet. So I'm like, I'm going to create the most epic online course for them that they will ever have because out of a need. So then the next thing that I'm going to speak on the next event, it's not that I'm never going to push or sell a course, but it's going to come from a place of like, guys, remember last time you told me how you didn't get this? Well, hey, surprise, I have a gift for you.
Wow. Filling a need. Like that's what you do. And you're just using your gifts. Yeah.
And then I love to play. My people see me play. So what do you think? My events will sell out. We're going to drop it on Sunday. It's going to sell out in a day. Why? Because people know that I'm so obsessed with giving people an amazing experience that they actually don't care what I'm doing. They'll just be like, I want to play. I want to have fun. It's going to be transformational. It's going to be the right people. I'm in.
Yes. There's so much in that. My goodness. I love that. I love that place. It's again, that word like freedom is one of my highest values. And I guess that's what drew me to you as well, Sonia, was like, I sense the freedom that you play within. Like you are a free spirit, and you really are. And it shines through, and it's not some facade. It's real. It's pure. And
people don't get that though. They really don't understand that at all. It really and the other thing that people really don't understand, which is so interesting to just see them struggle with it, is that people don't know how to receive. I'm someone who will just give, and they don't understand it. They'll be like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, no, I'll see where I can help, and I'll just help you. Yeah. And most people are not used to that. They're like, okay, well, what's the rate? What's the this? What's the that? And I'm like, no, I actually just want to help you.
Wow.
It's so interesting. They're like, what do you mean? And then they and I'm like just sitting with it, and I see them go, and I'm like, and I'm talking the biggest coaches, the biggest people, like, but so much of them haven't done the work because we're so used to people. Well, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? What if somebody just gave you a gift and just was like, really just want to be there for you? Then what?
Yeah. Wow. That's and I again, I resonate with what you're saying. I've seen that for sure, and I've had to do work around that as well. Like I was terrible. Like if someone gave me something, I'd be like, "How much do I owe?" Like, what do I need to do for you now? And I would feel overwhelmed by it because, like, someone would be really generous to me, like, because I used to run a construction business before I moved into coaching. Like, if someone gave me a plate of biscuits, I'd be like, "Oh, I'll do an extra hour for you," and I would burn into my family. It was this horrible cycle. And as opposed to just being like, hey, maybe I've actually given value, and maybe this is my good karma or whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Embrace it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So powerful. So I love that this is the business that you would start again. Like if you were to come back, and I had a sense that would be your answer because you're aligned. That's really powerful. So for you, Sonia, like what are you doing each day? And because again, the energy side of things, I'm thinking of when I have these interviews with you again, I'm thinking of clients who I work with, and I'm thinking about the questions that they might have. So a particular client, they might say to you, how do you ignite your energy each day? And I don't think it's something that you consciously do. I'm getting a sense there might be certain things you do, but obviously you're just living aligned, which is the biggest thing for your energy. But what do you do to stay in your power and if you do have a day where you slip off track, like you might find that you dip a bit, how do you bring yourself back? If that's even your experience.
Yeah, I do. All of the above. So the first thing that it is I find it quite challenging to balance like the whole kids, husband, team, work, workout. It's quite a thing. Like it's a lot, honestly. So, and sleep is like a thing I have to do. And it's not,
you can't delegate that one, Sonia.
No, I can't. It's so, I just like, sometimes I'm like, oh, it's so useless. Like, let's just, but it's why I have to be conscious about that as well. But when I'll wake up in the morning, like to me, my first hour is the most important one. And I am a huge habit of working out every single day. I move my body. It's like that ignites me. So I'll wake up, and then it's like I'm either going to the mountain, especially if I have a big coaching day, because I need to coach from a place of creation. I need to inspire myself so that I can be a phenomenal coach to others. I will never have a big coaching day and go from my bed to my office. It's never going to happen because I'm just off. So no matter what, I will wake up early, and it's going to be, I will not even sleep, but I'll hit the gym. I'll go downstairs to my gym. I'll get a workout. I'll get my music in. And then at one point I feel the energy go, oh, I'm back. Like, it's crazy. So it's like this warrior thing. It's just such a habit. It's really who I am. And I'll feed my mind. I'll move my body. And music is something that's really important too. Then I'll make myself my shake. I'll be there for my kids. And then it's like, I can take over the world. But the first hour is always mine. And it's a non-negotiable. My kids are in my gym. I'm never going to take a client before I take me first.
Yes, that is so important. Oh my goodness. And would you say, and I guess this would be a conversation that might ruffle some feathers, and that's exactly why I want to have it.
I'm okay with that.
Would you say that, like, because a lot of mums out there, they sacrifice themselves in order to take care of their kids, and they don't take care of themselves. Like, would you prioritize yourself over your kids at times? And
you know what?
How does that work?
And I'm going to tell you. I'm going to even tell you why. I teach my kids that. Like, my daughter is right here, and she's at my office right there. She's like doing something, but she knows I'm on a podcast. Mommy's on the podcast. That's what I do. If you want to come to the office with me, you have to understand that when mommy's coaching or doing that or that, you're welcome to sit there. She'll listen to my coachings, like when they're not too like deep dives, but she would listen to this podcast. She's extreme. Like, my kids are part of my life. My kids also understand, and I want them to learn that from me, that like, mommy needs mommy time. I need my hour of working out. They can join at the gym, but I'm going to have my earphones on and I'm going to get it in, because I also want to teach that to my kids, that they need to have an hour for themselves. Yes. That they need to go hit the gym, or whether it's, to me, it's the gym. I enjoy it, but I take my kids to the mountain every Saturday. Like, I want to educate my kids that I don't want them to put other people before. If they want to really play the big game, they have to feed themselves first. They have to wake up, set their intention. My kids set goals. I ask them what's their highlight of the day every single night. My daughter journals. Like, to me, I really want my kids to be such kind, well-balanced, good humans, And so for me, those start with habits.
I love that. I think that is so powerful. And what you're doing there as well is you're breaking the cycle. You're breaking the cycle because, if one mum, and well-meaningly, and I'm saying mums because I've just seen mums do it probably more so than dads, where they sacrifice themselves too much, and that they're coming from a place of caring, but it's kind of, they've not explored that or unpackaged actually where they are operating from. If no one actually takes a stand and says, hey, no, it's important I have my time, then, who's going to break the cycle? Like, you're right. The kids are going to do literally the same thing. And it probably does, like, it feels miserable to live like that, Yeah,
like my 5-year-old kid does burpees. Like my 5-year-old, like they come, if I go boxing, they'll come with me. But I feel like that's just showing them also the importance of self-care. Like, I'll go to the spa and I'm okay with telling my kids, like, mommy needs a massage, and that's okay too. And sometimes my kids will be like, oh, mommy, I'm so bored. And I'm like, that's wonderful. What do you do when you're bored? Like, I'm not your entertainment. Like, you know what I mean? Like, where did I sign up for this?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
bored, go figure yourself out.
Precisely. Yeah. I heard actually another entrepreneur, a great entrepreneur here in Australia called Kerwin Ray, and he said that by the time his son's 13, he wants him to be fully independent. Like, he wants to be able to look after himself, because if his son's not able to look after himself by the time he's 13, within reason, then what's he done as a dad? Like, he's actually developed like a codependent child, as opposed to like, man, learn to stand on your own 2 feet. Like, I'm not going to be here forever. It's really one of the greatest gifts you can give your kids. So I love to hear the way you parent, Sonia. And my wife and I, like, we've got 3 little ones, and we do the same. Like, this is our thing. Don't interrupt. When we're with you, it's going to be pure. It's going to be your time, and nurturing their values. There's so much in that.
And I think there's such beauty in having real conversations of parenting of like, this works for me. It doesn't need to work for you. I'm not telling you this is the way. I'm just telling you it's a way. And it's the way that really, really works with me. That's really aligned with me. I travel with my kids. I bring them on stages. They come on my retreats, but it's a lot of work. Like, honestly, sometimes I'm like, I should have kept you home. I don't know why I'm doing this, but it makes me happy. And it makes me happy. But to so many parents, they're like, Sonia, why do you bring your kids? And I'm like, I don't know. I just kind of really like it. And that's okay. And maybe sometimes I won't bring them, and that's okay too. It's really like coming from a place of just loving the journey with it and raising really great humans that you'll just be like, this is my way to do it. And I'm happy with this and I'm aligned with it.
I love that. Yeah. And again, you're just doing what feels right in the moment. Sometimes you're like, oh, I want to bring them on. Sometimes I don't. Like, and that's perfect as well. I'm curious, do you have like a good, I'm assuming you do, you've got a good support system around with your kids. Like you've got individuals who you're like, I'll kind of delegate that time, I'll make sure that the kids are hanging around that person when I can't. Like, do you have a good system set up around you like that?
Yeah, I really, really do. And I'm really, really good with them having, time with their brothers. Like, for example, my husband and my stepson were away. They were away on business. And my other stepson one night he took my son, and one night he took his brother, and the other night he took his sister. And it was so nice. And I was like, oh, this co-parenting is really working out for us. Like, it's so cute. And it's like, I want my daughter to spend time with my best friends and with her auntie and her grandmother. Like, that's so wonderful, because them too, they have ways to teach my kids something else. And then everyone's not feeling like it's all on you. I feel so many moms feel like they have to take on everything, and they have to be, doing the cleaning the house and the cooking and the kids, and then this and that. Like, it's just so much.
Yeah.
And it's maybe just take a step back and say, hey, like, what do you actually really love to do? And what could you delegate that you're just not, that doesn't bring you any joy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like doing the floors and laundry or brings me zero joy. So that's something I'm really happy to delegate.
Yeah, that is so important. And it's a challenging idea for many people, because they're like, oh, well, to be the perfect partner, doesn't matter if you're the husband or the wife, you might be like, I thought I needed to do that thing because otherwise I'm not a good partner. And people get trapped in this. So I love that you're talking about this. If it doesn't bring you joy, if it doesn't light you up, delegate it.
Well, so here's one. And number two, here's the other piece, which is have the conversation and the communication with your partner. Because if they value these acts of services, they might think that, this is how they feel loved. So they will really value you doing the dishes or making dinner or whatever, and then maybe what you value is like these gifts, which could be a card or could be. So what I love to do is, with my clients, I'm always like, okay, have these conversations with your partner, because maybe your partner doesn't care that, you're doing the dishes and cleaning the house, and you can delegate that and hire, a housekeeper or someone that can help you, and you would have more time for yourself. But I have other partners, like other clients, that their partner really is deep into the acts of service, and it needs to be the wife or the husband that really cooks, and they feel loved when that person does that acts of service. So instead of kind of trying to guess, like, get the guesswork out, have those conversations, and then you could be like, great, I could delegate this, I can move this. Oh, you need me to cook? Great. 5 days a week, or is 2 enough? 2's enough. Great. 2 it is. Boom. It's so simple.
Yeah, I get it.
It's so simple.
I love that. It's just about the honest communication and knowing and being brave enough to ask for what you value and what you want. Yeah. Beautiful. There's so much in that. That's absolute gold. Thank you, Sonia. Sonia, do you believe, like, this is a Thoughts on Purpose podcast, do you believe everyone on earth has a purpose?
I think that people are getting so stuck with this, and sometimes it's like 2 purposes, 3 purposes. I think that everybody on earth has a gift. Yep. I think they have a gift.
Yeah.
I think everyone is, probably your next guest is going to completely contradict me and say nobody's special, but I actually really do think that they are. I think that every single person has a gift. I think that every single person has a reason to be on this earth. And I think that every single person has, a beautiful journey for them to experience and to live a life completely aligned with what makes their heart shine.
Yes. I agree with that 1,000%. Yeah.
So making them like be stuck in like so many people, but Sonia, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? Is it almost like, you know what? Like, what's your gift? Like, what do you love to do? What do you want to do? Like, go there. Yeah. And it doesn't have it. I love a simple life. I love simple friendships. I love simple relationships. I love simple business. Because it doesn't have to be complicated. Yeah. So if the word purpose is really triggering you and is stopping you and making you feel like you're not good enough because everybody else seems to be super aligned and on purpose, then choose another word.
Yeah. Good. I love that answer. 1,000%. Yeah. Beautiful. So much in that. And I agree. I don't think I've ever heard a guest say, I don't think anyone's special. However, I do know that people who think like that. I totally.
Yeah, I've had a speaker. I was on an event that the speaker right after me was like, no one's special, and I was like, oh, that sucks. Really? Like, you think that? I think everyone's special. I think everyone's wonderful.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. 1,000%. So, Sonia, I've got a couple more questions because we're coming up to time. I've got another call on the hour. Unfortunately, I could talk to you for so long because you're such a joy.
Yeah, we could do this all night. Yes. Yeah. And all morning for you.
Yeah, true. First of all, where can people find you and how can they connect you? What's the best way for people to get around your amazing work?
So I would love everyone to follow me on Instagram because that's really the platform where I'm super active on it. I'm on stories all day long. I will, and it's really funny because I never have any notifications. Like I have zero notifications, zero on anything. But yet it really looks like I'm on it all the time. It's just so simple for me, and I it's a great platform for me. So definitely go out and follow me at Sonia Zarbatany, which is my full name, on Instagram. And then everything to do with my coaching programs, all that kind of stuff is coachsonia.com. Is my website. And those are pretty much the two best places.
Beautiful. That's great. And I love your platforms. I love your social media. I was actually showing my son your social media. I was like, I'm talking to this amazing lady today. He's like, wow, that looks cool. Like, and he was looking at all your social, like he loved it. It was so colorful and alive. It's yes.
Really, and there's really cool a lot, Yeah. I think it's fun because my socials is not just kind of like, let me coach you. Coach you. It's like, let's play. Here's my kids. Here's my coaching. Here's my, like, I think that's really fun because you could get so much from it. And it's not kind of just like, it's not super niched out.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Actually, just on that point about the niche, when you work with other coaches, do you support them find niches? Like, do you believe there's a time for finding niches or businesses? Yeah.
So I run some of the biggest coaches on the planet, their personal brand. I'm a brand strategist. So I literally work with people and I discover like, what's their story? What's their pillar? What's their offers? We create the highlights. Like I will build your entire business using Instagram alone. So like, that's my go-to. And I work with the best of the best. However, every single strategy I build is completely determined by whoever I'm speaking to.
Yeah.
So it depends on your offers. It depends on your life cycle. I won't niche you too much because I will know that you'll want to evolve in it. And so many times I have influencers or that are just in one lane. And after 5 years, they're like, Sonia, I'm stuck in this lane. So I will go into a deep dive. So that they can build a strategy that really sustain their brand and where they're going with it too.
I love that. Yeah, so much in that. And you bring so much, just the word I associate with you, Sonia, is, and I was thinking about this. I always think, before I interview someone, I'm like, what really connects me to this individual? Because I don't just bring anyone on my podcast. I don't have a sort of podcast. Some people are like, you don't release consistent episodes. It's sort of sporadic. However, the guests I have, I want to have real conversations. I want to have a real connection. And that's it. Like, that's purely where I come from. Similar to you. And the word that I associate with you, Sonia, is enthusiasm. Like I was like, that's the word. If I was to put a word, it's enthusiasm. Now, I don't know if you resonate with that, but that's like the breakdown, as I'm sure you know of that word, is the God within, like that light within that's shining through. And I really do see that with you, like the energy you bring, the heart you bring to what you do, the energy, the fun, and it shines through. And there's a great quote, Warren Buffett. I think it goes something along. I think it's Warren Buffett. He says, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And I don't see you as someone who works and who's, like I see you. It is literally like that. It's like watching someone play.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's real.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah. I that's exactly it. Honestly.
Yeah. It's powerful, and it really does shine through, Sonia. So keep doing your thing, keep shining a light. I've got one last question for you before we wrap up. If you could get access to the back end of all the biggest platforms out there, Instagrams, Facebook, TikTok, like YouTube, all of them, you could show up on every single television screen and computer screen and phone screen that happens to be lit up in the world right now, and you had 1 minute to share a message. What would that message be? Everyone's eyes are on you.
The message with my daughters, the message would be that, like, we only have this one shot. Mm-hmm. It's right now. It's today. It's right now. And if you can just lean into who you absolutely authentically are and find that gift and find that superpower, the entire world is out there waiting for you. Mm-hmm. Everything is in abundance. Every single thing that you could possibly imagine is available for you. All you have to do is, number one, decide, be in choice and say yes. And number two, you actually just have to get into action, lean in and go get it. And if I'm able to reach every single person and just wake them up a little bit and have them say, yeah, let's go. Can you imagine what world we would live in?
Oh my God.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, it would be. Well, the world is a beautiful place, but it would be even more incredible.
It truly is. And we can all come together and support each other's journey. Like, that's the true essence of humans, right? It's what are we really chasing? It's human connection. It's to be loved. So the more love you put out there, well, the more people are going to feel it and want to come back and love you too.
Yes. So powerful, Sonia. Thank you so much for jumping on and sharing your wisdom. Ladies and gents, definitely check out Sonia's amazing work. All the links will be below wherever you're listening to this or watching this. Thank you for who you are, Sonia. Keep shining a light, and I look forward to connecting with you into the future. Thank you for your time today.
And in live too. We'll see each other live as well.
Yes, can't wait. Thank you so much, Sonia.
Thank you.